Chapter number 11, Emerging Issues in Indian Economy. Now, migration. So first of all, what do you mean by migration? In simple terms, if we say, when a person or a group of the persons or community, we can say, they move from one place to another, and majorly we can say across the political or administrative borders. So it is known as migration. And migration can also be of various types like temporary migration, permanent migration, voluntary migration. So in ordinary language, migration means change in place or moving from one place and settling in another place. But a classical definition of migration is given below. So migration refers to movement of a person from one place to another place, away from native place, either within or outside the country for job, occupation, business, or in search of better standard of living on a permanent basis. So in simple term, we can say that when the persons they move from one place to another due to any reason, whether it is for their job or for their business related work or for better standard of living, like from remote areas or villages to the cities. So there are various reasons the people migrate. If you talk about, or if we talk about Gujarat, you've seen that many people they go for studies also abroad, then they find a job over there and then they settle down in foreign countries. So there are various reasons why people migrate. So on the basis of the above definition, it can be said about migration that it is the long-term movement within or outside the country. Within the country, that is from remote places to the cities. Outside the country, it can be for job or education, anything. Second, it is done for job, occupation, business, or for the betterment of living standard. Now, types of migration. So migration, we can say some of the features, that is migration, it is always signified by movements of a person or a community from one place to another. It can be forced migration or it can be voluntary migration, we can say. And it always involves a change in residence. Obviously, when people will move from one place to another, there will be a change of residence. It leads to population change in the area. Now, if a whole community, they leave the village and they migrate to the city, so the change in population will definitely take place at both the places. In remote areas it will decrease, whereas in cities it will increase. Now, types of migration, it is mainly classified into two, that is place-based classification and reason-based classification. Place-based classification, again it is divided in two types, that is internal migration and international migration. By word also, I think you can understand internal migration and international migration. So internal migration means within the boundary of a country, we can say, or international migration, that is outside the country. And then comes reason-based classification, that is pull factors and push factors. So pull factors means the migration due to the attraction. Many people get attracted for the job, or they get attracted towards the standard of living or way of living of the people. They get attracted towards that place and they go. So they are called the pull factors. And push factors means it is compulsory for them to go there. Now, place-based classification. So any migration which is based on geographical boundaries of a country, it is divided into two types, that is internal migration and international migration. So first one, internal migration. The movement of a person from one place to another within the geographical boundary of a country is known as internal migration. So in other words, we can say, if a person he settles from Gujarat and he goes and settles in Rajasthan, or if a person is living in Gujarat and he goes and settles in Pune or Maharashtra, then it is known as internal migration. One more example you can take, that is, suppose if a person from Gujarat he settles in another city or a state, and when a person from any other state or city they settles in Gujarat, so it is known as internal migration. Second is international migration. So international migration means foreign countries or movement of persons to foreign countries. So movement of a person from one country to another is known as international migration. For example, suppose from Gujarat or from any other part of India, if a person moves to some other country in search of job, occupation, business, or for better standard of living, for permanent settlement, or when people from other countries come to India for settlement on a permanent basis, it is known as international migration. For example, the people who lives in Gujarat, they mostly go to USA or Canada to settle down, right? So that is called a international migration. Now comes reason based classification. So any migration which is based on some reasons, it is divided into two types, that is migration due to pull factors and migration due to push factors. So first one, migration due to pull factors. When a person gets attracted to the lifestyle and modern infrastructure facilities of urban areas and migrates there, so it is known as migration due to pull factors. In attraction based migration, economically well off villagers they move to cities for better lifestyle and the decision is voluntary. Voluntary means from their own wish, because they get attracted towards the lifestyle of the cities, they get attracted towards the way of living, so they get attracted and they migrate from villages to cities. So that is called a pull factor or attraction based migration. In the same way, for the same type of attraction in other countries, when people migrate to other countries to settle there permanently, it is known as migration due to pull factors. Second is migration due to push factors. Push factors, that is due to compulsion, we can say. So when people living in villages are forced to leave their villages due to lack of business or occupational opportunities, or when there are limited educational facilities, and when they are forcibly pushed to cities, it is known as forcible migration or migration due to push factors. If the migration is based on lack of facilities to improve economic standards or employment opportunities for economic vulnerable groups, it can be called forceful or compulsory migration. Now, push factors, some of the other factors we can say that due to lack of job opportunities, due to the poor transport facilities, many natural disasters or shortage of food, some compulsion is there behind their migration. So we can say that it is migration due to push factors. So reason based migration, we can say that in first one, that is in attraction based migration, economically well off villagers they move to cities for better lifestyle and the decision it is voluntary, it depends upon them. And whereas in second one, that is in push factors, if the migration is based on lack of facilities to improve economic standard or any employment opportunities for economic vulnerable groups, it is called forceful or compulsory migration. Now, causes of migration. So the causes of migration, they are mainly divided under four heads, that is economic causes, social causes, political causes and natural causes. Again further it is divided. So first of all, economic causes. So economic causes mostly include the things related to employment, occupation, extent of natural resources, transfer, or to get better quality education or health services. First one is for employment and occupation and business. So when a person moves for employment, occupation and business to another place, we can say that is the economic reason behind his migration. Second is transfer. When a person is transferred from one place to another distant place, it is forced to move to that, or he or she is forced to move to that place. Transfer mostly takes place in all government employees, where they are transferred after every 3-4 years. Third one is extent of natural resources. So when a particular place has abundance of natural resources, but if the population is very low or less in that particular area, people will migrate to that particular place. For example, gold, diamond, metallic mines, petroleum products, mining and refining. So they require technicians in very large numbers. So for the job opportunities, or we can say for employment opportunities, people will migrate there. Examples we can say that is migration to countries like UAE, Australia, New Zealand and Canada. Next is to attain better quality education. Now when education opportunities are limited in any particular place and a person has hunger for better education, or he wants good quality education, so what does he do? He migrates to a distant place, which in due course becomes permanent in nature. That is, initially the person, he goes just for the education purpose, and then he gets habituated with the lifestyle and he settles there. Next is to get modern health services. So when a person cannot acquire required health services in his own native, he is forced to migrate to a better place for acquiring those services. Example you can take, if any person is having suppose any disease which cannot be cured by the doctors, or he does not have the hospital does not have the equipments or the facility which is needed for his treatment. So wherever he will get in cities that type of facilities, he will go there for the treatment. So to get the modern health services also, people are migrating. And next is planned migration. So when a family plans to send one or more persons away from the native place for performing economic activity to a distant place, it can be called as planned or organized migration. Now this we can say, suppose one family is there, they stay in Ahmedabad and they are having 2 children, and the elder son, suppose they have sent to US for earning purpose only they have sent. So we can say that it is a planned or organized migration, that is to fulfill his economic duty, they have sent him. Now next comes is the social causes. So social reasons of migration. First one and the most common is marriage. Now when a woman after marriage leaves her native and migrates to live in a distant place with her husband, it is known as social migration. Now as we know that whenever in our country, whenever any girl is married, so we move to the boy's place, right? So after marriage, wherever the girl is born and brought up, she will leave that place and she will migrate to the other place with her husband. So that is known as social migration. Next is to get respite from social rituals. Now a society in a village is traditional and orthodox to a great extent, whereas if you talk about the urban society, the society or the people of this society, they have very liberal thinking and modern lifestyle. So the youth of the villages or the people of the villages, they get attracted to such a lifestyle because they don't want any restrictions or any kind of social rituals. So they escape from the rigidity and rituals of rural areas and they migrate to other areas. Next is political causes. So political causes, first one is war and unrest. Now in whichever area whenever war takes place, so there will be unrest in that particular area, people won't be very happy, they won't be able to live with peace, right? So what they will prefer? They'll prefer that instead of living in such an area where every other day the fight take place, better we should migrate to some another area. So where there is peace and where there is no need to live in constant fear or insecurity that any time the war or fight will take place. So they migrate from the disturbed area to the peaceful place. Next is to avoid friction. So whenever writing and friction occur, people will prefer not to stay there and they will migrate to a peaceful place. Natural factors, or we can say natural calamities or environmental factors. The places which are affected frequently by natural calamities like earthquake, floods, so they see large scale migration of the people in search of safety. Now due to developmental activity, we can say the migration that took place, also it is included in migration due to environmental reasons. The migration that happened because of Sardar Sarovar Yojana in Gujarat, that can be called as developmental migration. Same way, if a national park or afforestation is adopted, people are made to move to different areas, which is also known as developed or developmental migration. Now, positive and negative effects of migration. Now, till now we have studied about the reasons or causes of migration. Why does the migration takes place? Now, effects of migration. How does the migration affects? So that can be of two types. That is, or it can be bifurcated according to the positive effects and negative effects. So positive effects of migration and negative effects of migration. If we talk about positive effects of migration, so positive effects, it can take place on economy and individual, family, society and nation for its benefit and development. Now how does it affect? First one is growth of income. So the main objective of migration is income generation and rise in income. Those who move to cities from villages for livelihood, they send a major portion of their income to their families, which improve the standard of living of those in villages. Now mostly you might have seen the laborers. They have migrated from other states in Gujarat, especially textile industries workers. So what do? They work here day and night, and whatever the income they have, they send it to the village where their family is living. So it can help them to improve their standard of living. Apart from it, a share from that income, it is also invested in agriculture, so which remarkably improves the production and productivity in agriculture sector. Next is contribution towards a faster economic development. Now when the people of our country, they migrate to other countries, they send a part of their earning to their families, and also they invest in business, trading and industries, which increase the foreign exchange of our country, enabling a faster economic growth and economic development of the country. Now when the people migrating, they send their income to our country, so there will be more cash flow in our country, or cash flow of foreign exchange in our country, we can say. Now negative effects of migration. So negative effects of migration, it is mainly divided in four, that is unregulated urbanization, shortage of infrastructure facilities, problem of environmental pollution and social evils. So first one is unregulated urbanization. So when less educated, insufficient and untrained village people who are very poor, they migrate to the cities So they are forced to live in the periphery of cities due to low incomes and results in uncontrolled urbanization. And apart from this, what will happen? As the people, those who have come here, they don't have any education qualification, they are untrained, so they will not get a good job, so they won't be able to buy a good house, so they have to live in either huts and slums. So that type of area will expand. So we can say that hutments and slums expand as there is no alternative in the cities. Next is shortage of infrastructural facilities. So an unorganized urbanization, hutments and dirty slum dwellings make the local administration ineffective as they are unable to provide enough water, drainage, road, transportation, communication, education, school and health services, etc. So we can say this will result in serious health issues as the poor class are affected by serious life-threatening diseases. Next is problem of environmental pollution. Now as hutments and slum dwellings they increase, so due to which there will be a shortage of drainage facilities along with the shortage of waste removal system, increasing environmental pollution. So this problem becomes serious issues and as a result of migration, and the examples we can take of the cities like Ahmedabad, Surat, Mumbai, Kolkata and Delhi. So what happens in all these cities? There are insufficient public transportation, so which force the people to seek alternative transportation, resulting in the serious problems of air pollution, especially in Ahmedabad, Delhi we can say. Social evils. So people who migrate from villages to cities in search of higher and regular incomes, and when not able to get expected job or lifestyle, sometimes they resort to antisocial activities, or we can say like theft, loot, etc. because they are not able to get a good income by good means. So which will lead to disturbance in the social life of cities, and social frictions arise among the people because of difference in their language, culture and lifestyle. Next is urbanization. Now we have studied this term earlier also. So generally when the people they migrate from rural areas to urban areas, that is known as urbanization. That is from villages to shift to urban areas or cities. Now urbanization is that socio-economic process due to which the population in one area increases and concentrated, which converts into a town or a city. So urbanization is a result of economic development because due to economic development, industries and infrastructural facilities improve and expand. This leads to shift of labor from agriculture sector to industrial and services sector, which makes urbanization faster. So according to the definition of a town or a city was very broad, but by the year 1961 the definition became narrow, and the following were the criteria which were adopted during the census of 1971, 1998, 1981, 1991 and year 2001. First one is all those areas which are planned, managed by municipality, corporation, cantonment board or notified town area committee. Second, all those areas which fulfill the following three criteria. First one, there should be 5,000 or more than 5,000 population living in that particular area. 75% or more population are employed in non-agricultural sectors. And third one, if the density of population is 400 or more per square kilometer, then it can be included in that. Now the 3 ways of urbanization. Now we can say that due to the industrialization, the urbanization in the entire world is on the rise, and if this continues, by 2050, 2/3 of the world population will be in urban areas. So 3 ways of urbanization. First one, in towns and cities, birth rate tends to be higher than the death rate, and hence the urban population increases at a higher rate, which is known as natural population growth. Second, due to the change in the definition of village and town areas, many rural areas have been upgraded and they have been merged into the cities, so which has resulted in an increase in urban population. The examples we can take like Ahmedabad, Vadodara, Surat and Rajkot. Third one, there is a large scale migration of people from rural to urban areas, so which increases the urban population. Thus, from the above study, we can conclude that after independence, the process of urbanization started, and since economic reforms 1991, there has been a continuous rise in that process, and a clear picture of urbanization can be got from the statistical representation that follows. Now, effects of urbanization. So India is only second after China in the process of urbanization, so which has resulted in various effects, and this effect can be divided in 2 parts, that is positive effects and negative effects of urbanization. First one, positive effects of urbanization. Now, urbanization that took place in India has created various welcome effects which can be studied as positive effects. So, increase in infrastructure facilities. There is a continuous increase in infrastructural facilities like education, health, banking, transportation, communication, insurance, electricity, etc., which create more employment opportunities, and in turn raises the purchasing power of the people, because as their income will increase, definitely their purchasing power is also going to increase to buy the necessity or goods required for them, which will ultimately improve their standard of living. Next is infrastructural facilities. So there is a continuous increase in infrastructural facilities, we can say. Then employment opportunities. So we can say that the increase in employment opportunities, it will lead to rise in income, and it will ultimately increase the purchasing power of the people, and purchasing power necessity, which will help to make new industries. Then income rise, purchasing power increases, and new industries. Opportunities, employment. Next comes is reduction in poverty. So poverty and unemployment, they are mutually interdependent, and due to urbanization, what happens, industry and service sector, they create very large amount of employment in cities, so which reduces or which helps in reducing the poverty. And apart from it, the rural poor and unemployed who came to urban areas, they also get the employment according to the capabilities or their educational qualification or whatever the skill they have, so which will help to reduce the poverty. Third is cultural development. So in cities, advanced education facilities are available, and through that an individual can attain all round development, so which will help him, or it will improve him personality of an individual and make him more cultured individual of the society. Apart from this, there are various libraries with modern amenities, bookstalls, and various cultural programs which enrich people culture. Next is ultra modern health services. So due to the process of urbanization, population in urban areas they rise, which cater to the various requirements for better health along with the education. And today we can see a number of multi-speciality hospitals flourishing in cities like Ahmedabad, where ultra modern treatment is available for every disease in one place. Now we might have seen that in last 10 years many new hospitals have come up with very modern equipments, and apart from it, the best example we can take is the civil hospital, which is the biggest hospital of Asia. And moreover, the government and local self-government, they also start the hospitals which directly benefits the poor and generally middle class people in the society. Next is social effects or modern thinking. So the thinking of the people of urban areas is modern as compared to the villages, because the cities they have better education, better cultural development and modern means of communication. So this makes them very quick to adapt themselves to the modern world by way of decency and dignity in their words, their lifestyle, their way of speaking or their actions. And last is high standard of living. So urbanization, it results in rise in income, and the presence of modern infrastructure facilities make the standard of living higher in urban areas as compared to the rural areas. Obviously, in a city, if a income of a person rises, so obviously he will try to increase his high standard of living, or he will try to maintain his standard of living according to his income. Negative effects of urbanization. Now, negative effects of urbanization, why we can have, because whenever uncontrolled urbanization takes place, so we'll have various negative effects also, because every aspect has its positive and negative effects both. Now, first one is income inequalities. Now, the first negative effect of urbanization is income inequalities. On the one hand, in urban area, there are intellectuals or people who are very highly educated, entrepreneurs, business tycoons, whose income levels is very high. While on the other hand, there are poor laborers who are illiterate, they do not have sufficient education or knowledge skill, we can say. So they don't have any skill or expertise, so they don't know anything except their physical labor, so hence their income is very low. Second is social inequalities. So the rich and the educated class have modern thinking, while the uneducated poor classes, they have very age-old thinking, so they get exploited in the urban areas. Next is problem of slum dwelling. So people coming to cities from villages, they are forced to live in dirty slum areas or huts, because they are not able to afford the pakka or good house, we can say, due to their low income. So they constitute the labor class and their affordability is very. Next is law and order problem. So uncontrolled urbanization has led to population explosion in urban areas, which result in the serious problems. For example, if the per capita vehicle in cities is high and is seen that it is rising continuously, so it will create traffic problem. If we talk about Ahmedabad before 10 or 15 years, so there was not so much traffic problem, or this much traffic was not there. What is the situation now? Moreover, in the absence of employment opportunities and ability to earn enough income, the people or the poor people, they will turn to other measures like theft, loot, or we can say antisocial activities will be moved. Next is question of infrastructural facilities. Now there is a shortage of transportation, health, roads, shortage of pure drinking water and such other infrastructure facilities, which result in problem of waterborne diseases, shortage of electricity, question of sanitation. So which is because of the failure of the local administrative system. Next is problems of environmental pollution. Now, as urbanization is the result of industrialization, pollution level reaches beyond its limit due to various industries, and the dirt and the dirty water, that also creates further problem. So more than 50% of the poor population, they suffer from the skin and respiratory diseases because they don't get clean drinking water. Next is education and health facilities. So the rich and the well-to-do class in the cities, they are able to attend advanced education or higher education and good health facilities quite easily. But what about the poor class? They are not having enough money, so they are not able to go to the good private hospital, or they are not unable to get enough qualitative access to such services. So which creates problem in reducing the negative effects of urbanization. Next is development of cottage and small scale industries. Along with the large scale industry, subsidiary industries, cottage and small scale industry, it should be increasingly developed so that the income inequalities can be reduced and socio-economic inequalities due to urbanization can also be reduced to a large extent. Next is development of basic infrastructure facilities in rural areas. So facilities like education, communication, transportation, road irrigation, etc. are the basic facilities that should be improved so that the people will not be forced to migrate to urban areas, and this will reduce the burden on cities and negative effect of urbanization can be kept under control. That is, whichever the rural areas are there, the government should try to build the basic facilities related to transportation, education, communication, electricity. So if the rural people, they are getting that basic facilities in their area only, they will not be forced to migrate to the urban areas, and it will reduce the problem of urbanization to a large extent. Next is strengthen the administrative system. Now the administrative system should be strengthened, and whatever the deficiency in administrative coordination is seen, it should be eliminated, and good governance should be brought about to ease the problems. To improve the law and order situation, more and more awareness should be brought about amongst the citizens. Now education, the most important concept. From childhood we start and till you become a teenager, keep on getting the education we can say study. Okay, so according to the Professor Marshall, every generation inherits values from their ancestors, which is the true inheritance. If the physical wealth of the world gets destroyed, but if the ideas to create physical wealth is not destroyed, we can retrieve the resources quickly. But if the ideas themselves are destroyed, the physical wealth will remain unutilized. And with time, such resources will be lost and the world will be at the doorstep of poverty. So we can say that education, it refers to the process of teaching and learning. Human capital formation, it refers to the capital investment through which the physical and mental capabilities of human beings are developed. And this investment made for the education, training, research, this all are known as human capital investment. Now before studying the present scenario of education, some of the importance or some key points of importance of education. How education can help in economic development. An individual acquires more knowledge due to which he/she becomes eligible for high class opportunities, and as a result his or her standard of living will improve. Same way, if a person is educated, so he is able to share his ideas with others, he'll have more self-confidence as compared to the uneducated person. An individual who is educated, he can take his own decisions regarding himself as well as regarding his family. Education makes a person efficient enough to utilize the opportunities that are generated in the society through development. Productivity of factory laborers can be increased. If a person is having technical knowledge or technological knowledge, so it can be given through the financial facilities which are available, and different methods of production can be made to be used, and agriculture productivity can also be increased. So through education, awareness can also be brought regarding the cleanliness and health. Now present scenario of education. Now this is changed, and when it will be implemented within next 2 years, we'll see. Okay, so the pattern which was followed, or this year also it is followed, we can say, that is primary education, it is counted up to 1 to 5th standard. It is considered in primary education. Then upper primary education, it is considered 6 to 8 standard, it is considered as upper primary education. Secondary education, it is considered 9th and 10th standard. And higher education or higher secondary education, that is 11th and 12th standard, it is considered as higher secondary education. Now college or higher education, that is 12 plus 2. If we are doing any higher education or any college we want to join, minimum 12 we require. After 12 plus 3 plus 2, that is 12 plus 3 years bachelor degree plus 2 years master degree, right? And further if you have done, that also you can add. After 8 plus, the standard or 8th standard, ITI study can be taken up and technical expertise can be achieved. So the Constitution of India has made primary education for children between 6 to 14 years age group free, and compulsory and responsibilities assigned to the state government. Gujarat has taken an initiative in the form of Gunotsav and Praveshotsav and enrolled more number of students in the school. If we talk about the 2013-14 data, the registered number of children in primary education were 93%. There were around about 1.4 million primary schools, where 7.7 million teachers were there in India. The student-teacher ratio was 46:1, and in upper primary education it was 34:1. 69% pupils were enrolled in secondary standards, while in higher education it was 25%. Education to all program means all should get education. There is Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan which was started, and RTE, Right to Education. They are means to spread education to all. Now, meaning of health. So, according to the WHO, that is World Health Organization, they have given the definition: health is just not absence of disease or physical strength, but it is an individual's physical and mental social well-being. So, what can we derive from the definition? That is, the productivity of a labor is dependent on his health. If a laborer is healthy, he is mentally and physically fit or good, then it will increase his productivity. If a person or a laborer is not well, so it will obviously affect his productivity. Sound mind can be in a sound body. Education nurtures the mind, while health nurtures the body. National income, it is directly dependent on the public health of the country. And if the health of the laborer is not good, and if he falls ill again and again, it will adversely affect the production and productivity And if the health of the labor improves, so automatically what will happen? There will be a growth in the production. Now, relationship between health and economic development. So we can say that improvement in health leads to increase in economic growth in 3 ways. Or we can say that there is a direct relationship between health and country's economic development. Now, how it can be done? First one, rise in productivity leads to rise in output. Next is, natural resources can be better utilized and wastage of resources can be stopped. Rise in income of labor leads to higher standards of living. So we can say there are main 2 aspects of necessary good health. That is, first one is balanced diet and second one is good medical treatment. So the average life expectancy of the people in a country, it is an important indicator of people's health or how healthy people of that particular country are. Now, present health situation in India. Now, there is a vast difference between the medical services in rural areas and if we compare it with the urban areas. Even today, 70% of India's total population, they live in villages. But out of the total number of hospitals, only 1/5 of the hospitals are situated in rural areas. And thus, required medical services are not available in rural areas. So, good treatment and timely treatment is not available for them. Still, there is a shortage of specialized treatments in rural areas like child specialist or that is woman specialist or specialist for women, gynecologist, anesthetist, eye specialist or MD and MS. A healthy child cannot be born to an unhealthy mother. So in India, due to lack of nutrition food, 50% of females between the age group of 15 and 49, they mainly suffer from iron deficiency, that is known as anemia, and out of whom 90% women die. So this problem, it can be eliminated by the spread of education, expansion and spread of good health services. According to the World Bank report, India spends around about 4.4% on health out of the gross domestic product, whereas America spends 20.3% on health and China 12.5%. Electricity. Just close your eyes for a moment and think your life without electricity. Just imagine a single day without electricity. Our life, when starts with the morning, our life starts with the electricity. Each and everything we require electricity. So electricity can be considered as an important growth engine for economic development. In fact, it can act as a growth engine for the development of rural and urban areas. Now, because electricity we can find in each and every walk of life. If you talk about agriculture, there also we require electricity. For irrigation facilities also we require electricity. For small scale cottage and small scale industries. So electricity plays a very important role for key sectors like industry and services. And if we talk about the usage, so within a span of 61 years, that is before or at the time of independence and the scenario now. From year 1950-51 to year 2009-10, the production of electricity has increased from 2,300 megawatt to 1,54,574 megawatt. So you can imagine how much electricity usage has increased. India is in the 7th position in electricity production and 5th in electricity consumption in the world. So that is, in electricity production process it is at 7th position. India is at 7th position, and in electricity consumption India is at 5th position in the world. There are 4 ways of generation of electricity in India, and the production of electricity is done by mainly 3 sectors, that is by central government, state government and private sector. And the 4 ways are thermal power, that is through coal it is done. Second is hydroelectric power, that is through water the electricity is generated. Third, nuclear power, that is through nuclear energy electricity is generated. And last is other, that is through windmill, biogas or solar energy. Out of the total energy produced in 2012-13, 70% was with hydroelectric power, 16% from the wind power, 2% from nuclear power and 12% from other sources. Apart from this, the government is also promoting and encouraging more and more use of renewable source of energy like solar energy. You might have seen the many people are having solar panels at their home. Okay, so they are spreading like solar cooker, solar water heater, hydroelectric power and wind power, because there is no spread of population from these sources. Now, what are some of the challenges which are faced by the electricity sector? The biggest and the most important challenge is that it is not able to use the fullest production capacity. The second challenge is that the availability of electricity is not enough to meet the requirement of the economy, which aims to grow at the rate of 7 to 8%. The production of electricity is less than the production capacity. That is, the production capacity is more, but the production of electricity it is less. And apart from this, the improper electricity distribution, wastage of electricity, theft of electricity, which is mostly done in villages, also are important challenges. Electricity cost is also affected by the factors like high cost, frequency or frequent power cuts, scarcity of coal, etc. Railways. The British government developed railway in India for their own benefits, that is to transport the goods from one place to another. For their own conveniency, they have started or they have developed the railways in India. Indian Railway was started during British rule on 16th April 1853, and first that was between Bombay and Thane, that is a distance of 22 miles or approximately we can say 34 kilometers. Then after independence, the administration of railways came into the hands of Indian government and it was administered through a separate department. If we talk about today, so the spread of railway network stands to be number 1 in Asia and number 4 in the entire world. And railways in India, which is biggest public enterprise, and today more than 14 lakh people have got employment in it. If we talk about the year 2012, about 8,200 million passengers travelled and 970 million tons were transported by railways. So the development of railways have plays a very important role in India's economic development. Industrialization and business has become faster because of occupational dynamism, which is due to the faster movement of heavy machines. Regional dimension of labor has improved and increased labor supply due to increase in speed, safety and comfort for level of travel. Apart from it, the development of railway has resulted in the commercialization of agriculture, and it also enables the transportation of fertilizers, tools and other inputs from distant places to the agriculture, and anti-agriculture produce is transported to the market. So India's foreign trade has developed through the development of railway. A new sector has developed, which is tourism, and it is entirely due to the development of railway. And railway has always acted as a link of national unity and integrity. Now, the aspects which were taken care of the modernization and development of railway in every 5-year plan. So, first one is more modernization is undertaken in every plan to speed up the gauge conversion. More facilities are being created to make rail travel safer for the people. Modernization of railway station is also being taken up for providing various facilities. Railway compartments are also being modernized to make passengers feel more comfort during their travel. Apart from it, more and more electrification of railways taking place so that the travel can become faster. And through modernization, the work of increasing the speed of the train has already started, so that the time taken to reach the destination for passengers and goods can be reduced. Talco and bullet trains, they are form of modernization of trains. Now, the challenges which are faced by the railways. First one is the modern technology is still insufficient. Facility for railways is still insufficient in relation to its demand. We can say the demand for railways is more, whereas the supply is still less, because most of the people, they travel through railways, or we can say especially in Mumbai if we talk about. So the more than 50% of the public or general public, those who go to their workplace, they travel through the public transport like trains. In local trains they travel. Shortage of finance and problem of administration. Problems of shortage of facilities for travelers and regional imbalance in the development of railways, etc. Petroleum. So, petroleum can be considered as a very important source of energy, and it is a driving force for movement of all the vehicles. If we will not have petrol, all our 4-wheelers, 2-wheelers, it is useless without petrol. Now we have an option of CNG for cars. In India, oil reserves are found for the first time in Assam, and realizing the importance of petroleum for economic development, ONGC, that is known as Oil and Natural Gas Commission Limited, was set up in 1959, and later the government converted it into corporation by intensive exploration of crude oil. So through ONGC, it has been found that petroleum resources are present in Kadi, Kalol, Ankleshwar, etc. in Gujarat, and in Bombay High for offshore drilling platform has been erected. In spite of all the efforts, India's contribution to petroleum production is just 0.4% of the total. Natural gas also is considered to be petroleum origin, which is predominantly used in thermal power stations, cooking gas, and as fuel for running vehicles. So the total gas production in India is only 0.5% of the total gas of the world. Use of gas is considered environment friendly, we can say. So India has also started various research programs for encouraging the research in this direction to improve more facilities.